The restaurant sparkled under crystal chandeliers, silverware catching the light with every gleam. Alexander Stone sat in his usual corner, glancing at his Rolex for the third time. At 38, he was the CEO of Stone Industries, a man worth millions, yet utterly weary of this repetitive life. This blind date, orchestrated by his insistent assistant Jennifer, would be his last. After the night, he would concede that relationships simply weren't his domain. Just one more, Jennifer had pleaded. Elena is different. She's not like the others. Please, give her a chance. Alexander had heard it all before. Every woman Jennifer arranged seemed to want the same thing. His wealth, his status, his luxurious penthouse. Not him. Never actually him. Tonight, he'd grant Elena exactly 30 minutes before excusing himself. He had contracts awaiting review anyway. A woman entered, and Alexander barely spared her a glance. Then he did. She wore a simple cream sundress, nothing designer, just effortlessly pretty. Her brown hair was tied back casually, and she carried a worn leather bag. Nervousness lingered in her movements. She clearly didn't belong in such an upscale venue. Their eyes met, and she approached hesitantly. Alexander Stone? That's me. He rose out of polite habit. You must be Elena. Elena Martinez. She sat visibly uneasy. Thank you for agreeing to this. Jennifer spoke so highly of you. Jennifer is an optimist about most things, Alexander replied coolly, already fortifying his defenses. Elena smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. She warned me you might be skeptical, that you've had difficult experiences with dating. Diplomatic phrasing. He noted silently. I understand. Elena said plainly, I'm a high school teacher. The last man I dated was lovely, until he realized I teach in an underfunded public school instead of prestigious private academy. Apparently, my lack of ambition was concern. Alexander found himself listening. You're ambitious about education, not money. Exactly. The children in my school need advocates, not teachers chasing paychecks. She hesitated. But that doesn't translate well to dating. Men want someone impressive to introduce to their peers, not someone spending her own money on school supplies for students. That's admirable, Alexander said, surprising himself with the sincerity in his voice. It's impractical, Elena corrected, at least according to most people. Jennifer said you value substance over appearances. Elena began, glancing around the restaurant at the glittering surroundings. But honestly, looking at this place, I'm not sure we're compatible. It's beautiful, but it's not me at all. Her honesty was a breath of fresh air. Most women pretended to adore everything about his lifestyle. Where would you rather be? Alexander asked. Honestly, the taco truck near my school makes amazing food for a tenth of what this place costs. But Jennifer insists you always meet dates here. I do, Alexander admitted. It's familiar, controlled, and completely impersonal. Elena said softly, you can keep emotional distance in a place like this. Real connection doesn't happen across a table so formal. Alexander studied her. You're very direct. I'm a teacher. I spend my days with teenagers who can sniff out dishonesty from a mile away. Directness is survival. She held his gaze firmly. So let me be direct. I don't need your money. I'm not impressed by your watch, your suit, or your reputation. Jennifer said you're lonely and tired of pretense. I am too. So, if we're doing this, can we skip the performance and just talk like actual humans? Something cracked in Alexander's carefully maintained armor. And what would you like to talk about? Why did you agree to this date? Jennifer said you almost said no, Elena replied. She told me you were different. Alexander thought of the countless women who wanted his credit card, his connections, his last name. Different? No. They all wanted the same things. Money, status. Yes, Elena said, nodding. That must be exhausting. Always wondering if someone actually likes you or just what you can provide. You sound like you understand, Alexander admitted. Elena smiled wryly. I've dated men who thought dating a teacher meant dating someone sweet, nurturing, a perfect future mother. They didn't want me. They wanted a fantasy of what a teacher represents. When they discovered I'm opinionated, sometimes exhausted, Occasionally drink too much wine. After parent-teacher conferences, they disappeared. How much wine? Alexander asked, a smile threatening to break free. Enough that I once left my grocery cart in the frozen food section and went home without it, Elena confessed. I only remembered at 10 p.m. and had to go back the next day. The cashier judged me. Alexander laughed. Truly laughed. For the first time in months. I once fell asleep in my office. Woke at 3 a.m., still holding my coffee cup. My assistant found me and asked if I had died. And did you drink the coffee anyway? It was cold, but yes. I have standards, but no shame. They talked through dinner. Real conversation. Not the usual scripted questions. Elena shared stories about her students. The one accepted to college despite homelessness. The girl who had discovered a love of poetry. The boy who finally opened up about his family struggles. She spoke with passion, exhaustion, and fierce protectiveness. Alexander found himself revealing things he never usually shared. The pressure of running his father's company, the isolation of success, the way his wealth had become a wall separating him from genuine human connection. Everyone wants something from me, he confessed. Business partners want deals. Friends want investments. Women want my lifestyle. No one just wants me. Who are you? Elena asked. Without the CEO title, without the money, who is Alexander Stone? No one had ever asked him that. He sat with the question, genuinely reflecting. I don't know anymore. I used to love architecture. I'd walk through the city, sketching buildings. I haven't done that in 15 years. Why not? No time. The company demands everything. Or maybe I use the company to avoid everything. Elena suggested gently. It's safer to work than to risk disappointment from people. You're very perceptive. For someone I met an hour ago, you're surprisingly transparent for someone who's supposed to be mysterious. Alexander smiled. What about you? Who's Elena Martinez without the teacher title? Someone who loves terrible reality TV, bakes when stressed, and adopts plants she inevitably kills despite good intentions. Someone who wanted to be a writer but chose teaching, because making a difference felt more important than hitting bestseller lists. Someone who's lonely but selective. Better alone than with someone who doesn't actually see me. I see you, Alexander said quietly. Do you, or do you just see a refreshing change from women who want your money? Elena's question landed. That's fair. Can both be true, she asked. But I need to know. If I didn't challenge your expectations, if I was just another nice person, would you even be interested? Alexander considered this honestly. I don't know, but I'd like to find out. They left the restaurant and, at Elena's suggestion, walked to her favorite taco truck. Alexander, in his expensive suit, stood in line beside her for street food. They ate on a park bench, and he couldn't remember the last time food had tasted this good. This is better than that restaurant, he admitted. Everything tastes better when you're not performing, Elena said. You were performing in there, the cold CEO, the controlled businessman. Out here, you're just Alex, eating tacos on a bench. I like this version better. No one calls me Alex. Would you like me to? Yes, he realized. I really would. Over the following months, they dated carefully. Elena refused expensive gifts, insisting on splitting checks and maintaining her independence. She constantly challenged him. His workaholic habits, his emotional barriers, his fear of vulnerability. You've built a fortress, she told him one evening. It's impressive, but lonely inside. You won't let anyone in because you're terrified they'll loot it rather than keep you company. And you want to keep me company? He asked. I want to know you. The real you. Not the CEO, not the millionaire, but the man who loved architecture and hasn't sketched in 15 years. That's the person I'm interested in. Alexander began sketching again. Elena accompanied him on walks through the city, patient as he drew buildings, asking thoughtful questions about his process. She introduced him to her students, who treated him like a regular person and pressed him with uncomfortable questions about wealth inequality. Your girlfriend students made me defend my entire business model, Alexander told Jennifer, slightly traumatized. Good, Jennifer replied. You need people who challenge you. A year after their first date, Alexander proposed, not at a lavish restaurant, but at the taco truck where their real first date had been. He hadn't yet bought a ring because he wanted to design it with her, knowing she'd hate anything ostentatious. I was planning to never date again after that night, Alexander said. I was exhausted from pretense and performance. Then you appeared and insisted we skip the act and just be human. You saw through my walls before I even finished building them. You demanded I be myself, and you loved that person, even when he was closed off, difficult, and afraid. Elena cried. Yes, you were planning your last blind date. I was planning mine too. I was tired of men who wanted a fantasy teacher wife. Then you actually listened when I spoke about my students. You anonymously funded the school's supply budget. You learned all their names. You saw that teaching isn't just my job, it's who I am. At their wedding, Jennifer gave a speech about the blind date. She almost gave up arranging. Alex told me he'd do one last blind date, then never again, she said. Elena told me the same. Both were done trying, but I knew they were perfect for each other. Two people weary of pretense, longing for authenticity. I just needed to get them in the same room. The rest was them choosing to be real with each other. Years later, Alexander would tell people Elena saved his life without realizing it. I was suffocating in my own success, he'd explain, surrounded by people who wanted my money, not me. Elena arrived in a simple dress with no agenda, but honesty. She challenged me, saw through me, and loved me, not despite my walls, but through them. And you, people would ask Elena, what did he give you? Someone who listens, she'd say, who values my work even though it doesn't make money, who funded my school quietly so I wouldn't feel obligated, who learned to be vulnerable because I refused to love a performance. We saved each other from lives of polite loneliness, because sometimes the last chance is actually the first real one. Sometimes the person who challenges your defenses is exactly the one you need. And sometimes cold millionaires and humble teachers discover that genuine connection doesn't happen in crystal restaurants. It happens on park benches, over street tacos, when two exhausted people finally stop performing and start being real.